I'll just take a minute to talk a little bit more detail. As I said, our 2021 third annual update of State of the Waters will be coming out later this year, and we kind of encourage everybody to look on the website to see how 2020 scored. But I want to jump ahead a little bit and cheat a little bit and provide you some information about where we were in 2021, because cyanobacteria in freshwater ponds was a dominant feature of our program areas in 2021. I'm proud to say that this past year we were able to establish cyanobacteria monitoring program in all 15 towns. We monitored 144 ponds on a regular basis throughout the course of the summer, which represented almost a tripling of what we had done in the prior year. We were able to contract and work with a variety of towns, a majority of towns on Cape Cod in particular, and that's a gratifying connection that we've been able to make with our communities, as well as a number of different pond associations and funders who have provided the money necessary to do this work. In particular, we were able to rely on an expanded partnership with Barnstable County Health Department and partnered with them so that at the same time their staff were out taking samples at the swimming beaches for E. coli and bacteria. They were able to take cyanobacteria samples as well, so expanded our coverage well there. And in particular, we had and relied upon the expertise of our partners at University of New Hampshire, Nancy Leyland and Jim Haney, who have provided us guidance both on how to measure cost effectively and how to interpret and how to communicate those results. As I mentioned, this year, we were able to expand the program. We were able to work more closely with the health agents to fine-tune and refine both the way we present the information and the way the towns communicate their information that they receive from us as a regulatory agent to their populace. We revised and modified our warning tier process to provide greater information and more clarity to the public that's concerned with cyanobacteria. And we were able to improve our communication techniques by adopting an e-blast approach, really all geared toward providing the public with as much real-time and near-time information as we possibly could, so that people were armed with the information they needed to modulate their behavior in a way that enabled them to protect themselves and their pets from potential hazards from cyanobacteria. And in addition to that, we were able to continue down the road of additional research. We're looking at transport from pond to sea of cyanobacteria. That's a new aspect for us. So what happened? Sadly, I will say, the more we looked, the more we found. So in this past summer, our monitoring results resulted in APCC recommending 34 ponds receive some form of use restriction for some portion of the season. That resulted in somewhere between 25 and 30 closures by the individual communities. We found cyanobacteria blooms in 11 of the 15 towns, so fairly widely distributed, at higher levels than we anticipated for longer in the season, both starting earlier and persisting later. As we record this event in early November, we are still monitoring active cyanobacteria blooms in a number of different ponds. And frankly, that is something that when this program started, we didn't anticipate. So why is this important to us? And why is it important to you? Because we've heard from a lot of you that this really is an important issue for you. Clearly, the aspect of toxicity is a new element to this conversation that we don't see and haven't seen in the marine side of the environmental problem associated with nutrients. And so that has engaged a lot of the public, and we obviously take seriously protecting the public health and pet health from exposure to cyanobacteria blooms. Of almost equal importance, though, is the fact that the cyanobacteria blooms are indicative of the same types of problems, threats, and impairments that we've seen on the marine side caused by excessive nutrient loading of our waters. In the freshwater environment, largely driven by phosphorus, although the nitrogen that is also the driving aspect of water quality impairment in the marine environment is also at play with cyanobacteria. But it comes back to, as it does in the marine side, inadequately treated septic waste, excess fertilization of lawns and landscapes, and alteration of the natural environment close to the water resource. And so those are all critical issues that we've engaged in on the marine side, and we're really beginning to emphasize more heavily on the freshwater side. And lastly, we want to be able to communicate and become more sophisticated in how we communicate risk. As we move forward, we're going to be looking to refine our sampling protocols, refine the methods by which we use to communicate and define risk for people so that the information we're providing is both as reliable as it can be and informative as it can be. We don't want to necessarily scare people for no reason. At the same time, we don't want people to feel complacent about what the environment looks like and take risks that if they'd known more, they would not necessarily have taken. So we have worked with a large number of partners, which are shown on the slide here, and it's indicative of how much interest there is. We've got representation from the nonprofit sector, the municipal sector, the philanthropic sector, and the state and federal government side, all who are supporting this activity. And it's, I don't think, a reach to say that Cape Cod is on the leading edge of managing cyanobacteria problems, communicating its presence and the risk to the public, and doing all of this, yes, to protect people, but also to motivate people to take the action necessary to limit the nutrient loads that they're providing to the environment so that we can restore water quality on the freshwater side. For 2022, we're going to be looking to expand and build on the progress we made in 20 and 21 and do more than we did last year, because we know that the region needs it, wants it, and deserves to have a better freshwater environment than we've been able to experience thus far. I would encourage everybody, use our web-based tools on apcc.org to view the map, to inform yourself about where there are health threats. Use the tools we provided for the e-blast so you're as current as possible as you move into the upcoming summer season in 22, so that you know what you can to protect yourself, your friends, your family, and your pets.